Hi guys, how's it going today? So today is now January 19th. It is 9 p.m. Central Time. Do you guys notice the kind of hours I put into the market? I put in some ridiculous hours. I think like 16 hours a day, like 7 hours a week. The perks of having no friends. You don't ever have to see any of them. Yeah, but you know, like it's not really work to me, right? It's more so just playing a video game, and I'm quite addicted to it. And you guys know how us Asians are. We're like bred to play Asian video games like the stock market. If not that, it's League of Legends or Dota, okay, guys? And we're also designed to be doctors and mathematicians and engineers and also play the piano, okay, guys? And just to let you guys know, my driving skills, they're actually fan-frickin-tastic, okay? I drive so well, guys. I have only been into an accident once. I rode off my car. I was 16 years old. It was Pontiac Sunfire. I was driving down the street. Some guy couldn't brake on time. It was winter. He was like 89 years old, probably. That he T-boned me, right? And I was 16 years old, and I was skipping school. And I was so scared, like, you know, like a 16-year-old skipping school. I'm not even worried about the car, you know. I'm like, oh, crap, my parents are going to know that I skipped school. God damn it, they're going to put me into 3 more years of piano lessons. So I call up my girlfriend. And I'm like, can I go to your house? And she's like, yeah, come over. She's like, where's your car? I'm like, I don't know where it is. They just towed it. The police offered to give me a ride, but I'm like, shit, am I gonna get in trouble? I don't know what's going on right now. So I'm like super panicked there, and I called my parents, and of course I'm like, hey mom, I got into a really bad car accident. They're like, oh, why you no go school, huh? You go drive around see girlfriend. That's what happened. Is car okay? I don't care about you. And then, like, you know, they're just asking me how the car was and stuff like that, and of course, like, I told them the car was fine, right? They didn't even care about me though. That's just Asian parents for you. Guys, I'd really appreciate it if we didn't get sidetracked too often, okay? So here's VeChain. Now that we got some of my little side stories out of the way, this is the one that we did on January 14th, technical analysis, okay? VeChain here. I was talking specifically about it holding here at the 33 to 38k Satoshi level, right? And then if so, it attempts an impulse up. And surely enough, this is the chart. I'm gonna save it so I can actually open it here, so we can see it on a big picture. So this is the chart that where it was, right? And this was my buy zone between 35 and 38k, right? And we were at the B right over here last time around, and I was talking about different scenarios and this holding or not holding, right? So if we actually take a look at it now, we ask ourselves, did it hold? Well, it actually didn't even get there, and this is the same chart that I opened up since last time, right? So this was a really prominent buy zone for us to make a note in, and I'm not sure if I did it last time, but no, I probably didn't. Yeah, I was talking about this specific zone, right? And we were just B forming in there. So I was trying to warn everybody to look for this specific zone. And then if so, we attempted impulse up. So this zone is now canceled, right? We also played best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario. And that's what I do as a trader, guys. That's what I do. I plan for worst case scenario. No problem. If it didn't bounce from my original zone, I also have a backup plan because I know where next possible zone can be. And now this fan right here, this one is also discounted, right? It's now no longer a valid support. And we also factor in, see if you guys remember I drew this one as well, taking different lines here, different angles. So this one is no longer counted whatsoever, okay? This one here, we didn't even factor in because I also ruled out the fact that it could even hold since it always does break every time, right? So I was comparing it to Bitcoin. Okay, now that we have some buy zones established in the past, and this was the risk to reward ratio. It's the exact same one that I left out to go extremely long on it. Right, extremely long on it, and yeah, so some targets were like pretty hefty actually. I think they were over here. Yeah, they're still here, around 72,000 Satoshi, and the other one over here is about 99,000 Satoshi. Hold on, I just got a message a buddy of mine. Okay, so yeah, so 72,000 Satoshi and 1,000 Satoshi. And do you guys know why I anticipated a bounce here? I anticipated a bounce here because it was just very bullish altogether. And there's two possible scenarios, okay? If it bounced off of here, great. It could have formed a flag, but because it didn't instead, right? Because it did instead, what this could have been counted as is maybe that's B up there, or maybe that's A, B, C, and this is now X. And I think I've been talking a lot about modes of failure, right? Engineers, we love modes of failure, guys. For all the engineers out there, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? We find out ways for something to fail, right? We find out ways for something to fail, and then we basically reiterate until better. So now that, like, this right here, if we look at it now, is actually forming a horizontal support, right? A horizontal resistance. And now if we actually isolate the area that we're in, man, this was a really good play, guys. The people that got it in took my advice. You guys made a 50% gain. Like, whoo, maybe not a 50, maybe like some of you guys probably got in a little bit later, like over here or something. Like, you guys made at least a 30% gain, and that's a conservative. Whoo! Congratulations, guys. I'm super happy for you guys, the people that got in on that one. Like, with my analysis, it's kind of like I plan for every scenario. So regardless of what happens, I've got my entries still, right? You have to see trading as a video game that constantly changes. Now, the best traders out there that I've heard before, like Tim Sykes in his days, right? Or Tim Grattani back then as well, what they would always say is that the best traders out there do not try to predict, they react. And the most reactive traders out there are very successful. So every time new data comes in, we accumulate this information, and then we try to develop a game plan around it, right? You have to see this as a strategy game. And everyone will see it differently. It's very subjective, but the key thing to note is to develop these skills where we can see things from many different angles. And the way I see this right now is a double top, which is crucial, okay? A lot of people will want to take profit here near the top. It's just human nature. It's just psychology that people definitely will want to take at the top. We'll go to a different candle, right? That can actually give us a good indication. We'll take the most extreme one. We need to get a high higher than 53,880 Satoshi. This line right there, basically, we have to successfully close above it. And I'm not talking about a wick. I'm not talking about a wick that closes, that pokes through it, okay? I'm not talking about a body that is in between it like that. I'm talking about one of these or the other, and then a successful close above 53,900, we'll say 54,000, okay? Has to be about 54,000 Satoshi, and these criteria must be met in order for us to have a clear break above this resistance line right here. If we get a clear break, the criteria, first of all, is we must attempt, and the body or a wick must be there. And even if that's there, that is not enough of a criteria for me to enter a trade. The criteria must be that a candle must successfully close above it. So this candle forming is not even enough. It must be the next candle after that. These are the ones that are forming. This right here is a successful close. Now, the other criteria that must be met is volume. You must see lots of volume met as well, okay? Here, people are attempting to push it higher and higher. Volume is waning off right now, okay? We have to get a clear break above this right here. That has been there since December 8th, guys. Or January, December. Just testing you guys. Just making sure you guys all know that it's January and you all failed. So I'm just kidding there. Just to let you guys know, though, it is January, okay? Not December. Just for the people who are living in the past. You guys got to focus in the future. But sometimes, like charts, you got to look in the past to look in the future, right? It's so weird how life works like that. They always say, guys, stop looking in the past so much. You're like living in the past right now, Darla. Maybe you got to start focusing on the future a lot more. You're just dwelling on it. Well, as a trader, how can we not have anxiety? Because all we think about is the past, because it helps us figure out the future. Does that make any sense to you guys, what I'm just saying right now? So a lot of these weird things come to my mind when I'm trading right now. So and I'm kind of trading today now. I'm at like $300 something profit. Big whoop did he do. So once again, the volume must be there, guys. Okay, we're talking about a big spike in volume. Otherwise, you would end up being in something called a bull trap. And if you were in a bull trap, you were going to be like these guys over here, okay? If the resistance was there, they're going to be like, yeah, green candle. Look at this green candle, guys. It's gonna moon. It's gonna moon right now. There's a lot of volume. Look at the volume. Well, the volume is actually really bad, okay, first of all. And secondly, it didn't even close above it. It poked above it, but do you guys see anything close above it? No, not really. Now it's subjective because we got a more relevant high. So I would move it to around the 5400 range, okay? 53,400, around there. not 54, like 53,400, 54,000, or 53,500, around that range. We got to break it. If we don't break it, you guys know what's going to happen? I'll show you guys what's going to happen. We're just going to end up trending somewhere in here. It could be a sideways trend, who knows, but it's going to be a massive trend that's going to stay inside of here. So not too much has changed since my last analysis, guys. This was kind of all predicted. We will trend in this particular zone right there, where it could, who knows, it could hit this trend line right there, right? It could hit there, but you guys do have to admit that ever since January 8 right there, we got some really clear resistance and support lines. In fact, this one could even be considered right here probably, just like that. Why could that, could this be considered? Okay, can any of you guys guess why this could be considered? What I just drew right here. You guys are going to say, well, a lot of candles poke through there right now, okay? Well, what happens if I go to a 2-hour chart? What happens if I go to a 3-hour chart? What about a 4-hour chart? What about daily? Right? What we see in the daily is this shape in here right now, don't we? And now all we see are bear breaks, or sorry, bull traps that are with the wick poking down. So this actually makes a very clear resistance. The higher time frame you go, it's just candle, right? It's just candle knowledge. If you got a red candle and then you got a green candle that overlap like this, what do you guys get? A green candle and a red candle that go from bottom to top like that, equal together will just equal one candle with a really long wick like that and just the bottom part. Okay, if that was all reversed and this candle was like that, then we would just see the body at the top instead of the bottom. So when you go to a higher time frame, the candles just end up looking like a wick, right? And these are just bull traps. So what we have to make note of right now, so right now it looks pretty ugly like that, but when you go to a higher time frame, it actually looks really good. Not only that, guys, it's also bouncing, and a clear trend line is being made right through the 55 EMA. So, and right, it bounces, it's kind of traveling along. There's a bounce right there. Now it's traveling alongside with it. So that's a pretty good indication as well right now. Okay. So the big thing that's going to happen is, okay, we got two zones, as you guys notice. I'm going to demarcate it for you. Whoa, that was a really big word. I haven't used that word in a long time. Every time I use a big word, guys, because I'm Asian, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes words can be really big for us. So I'm very proud of myself sometimes as my second language. You know, when I use big words, I haven't used it in a long time. That's such a big word for a little boy. And just so you guys know, like, a lot of people say to me, like, is this guy like on drugs or something, like, all the time? I just want to be really clear that I do not do any drugs, okay, while trading. No, seriously though, okay, like, all jokes aside, I don't do any drugs whatsoever. And yeah, this is just kind of who I am. I've just got a really outgoing, like, crazy, eccentric kind of personality, I guess, and very sarcastic and joking all the time. So you guys are gonna have to get used to it. My sense of humor is coming back for the year now. It's because it's slow adjusting, right, guys? I took like a 1-month vacation, like literally not really a vacation with the whole family thing going on, but I took about a 1-month break, right? And you know, when you're off for a whole month, getting back into it, like with work and mixing, just getting back in the groove, it takes a while. So here we are attempting to break it, right? We're attempting really hard to break it on a 2-hour chart. But right now, the 2-hour chart looks ugly, guys. The 2-hour chart is a doji right now, and it's got 1 hour left. And also on the 1-hour chart, we got doji. If you guys get a doji at the top, do you guys know what that means? Let me Google it for you here. Here's a doji candle at the top of an uptrend. If you get a doji at the top of an uptrend, right? Dojis can come like this, for example. Like, they can come in many different shapes and forms, but if you get a doji at the top, for example, this is not an evening star. Sure, you got different names. If you see at the top of an uptrend, it's very bearish actually. It signals that the bulls have now lost control. They lost control because now the bears can isolate the movement of the bulls. They can't push it up anymore. Every time they push up, it just gets pushed back down. Whereas on the bullish side, if you see on the bottom, it now wants to break up because now the bears have lost control. So that's basically what it is when you see a doji like that at the top. So now we're going to get a very clear indication, okay? So if this trends like that, right, we now got two zones to work with, and we're going to demarcate it. So this is the current zone that we're in right now. The green zone is the good zone, okay? We want to see if we can apex. What an apex is, it just refers to a critical point, okay? This is obviously the apex point where it meets, okay? It is where two converging lines meet. That is basically what an apex is. I call it purple, right? So when it meets into here, it will do one of two things, okay? It will either break up and, it will either break out of this consolidation, right? And, we get some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up there to my targets, right? To my targets over here, for example. I'm just going to redraw it, right? We get, to my target, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it could go up to there. We'll see from where it goes. So that's one thing that can happen, right? And now another likely thing that could happen as well is this one right here, where it goes to the red territory, where we have other lines demarcated as support already. So we have to also know what zones it could possibly fall in. And these patterns, they develop trend lines that help us isolate it. So where do you guys think that's going to go, right? Where do you think that is going to go if it breaks out of the purple zone? It'll most likely fall somewhere down here, right? Like, it'll most likely, fall somewhere down here. I can't really draw it well, but you guys get what I mean, right? Just somewhere right down there it'll fall. That's the truth. Because, well, where else could it go? It's gonna maybe break out of there, maybe break out of here, who knows? It could break out of anywhere there. But guys, if we do break out of here and go down, maybe there's a shorting opportunity for the people that are aggressive. I'm just exploring some options. I'm no financial advisor. You just set your stop right there. Maybe you want to target this line right there. Who knows? Maybe it'll correct even further, right? Maybe it'll correct even further. But the most critical thing to acknowledge right now, guys, is that this right here, it's forming a trend line, right? If we'd seen a 3-hour, it just looks like a wick. But if we actually go to a different time frame, we actually see bodies as well, right? So guys, until we get to this decisive point right here, it's very unclear of where the direction is. I see a lot of failure right now already from a candlestick analysis. On a daily analysis, I see it wanting to go up. I see it wanting to go up a little bit just to curve. But we got to give it a little bit of time to see where it rounds off at that critical apex point, okay? So the play, like a really good play, if I were to be playing right now, VeChain, I would be waiting for a break to close above the 53,000, 53,000, like 800, 54,000 Satoshi range. And then if it does close above it, like we were talking about earlier, boom, you're in a long trade, right? But if it goes sideways, I don't know if it's even worth trading in a sideways one. Maybe if it gets down to this point right here, for the people that are very risky and they don't mind short-term plays here, you can always bounce, if it bounces off of here, then maybe it'll go to the resistance again and test it for a short-term play, or you might have been able to anticipate a breakout up and you get lucky. So if it does break down, we can definitely see a trend along this particular line, which I highly recommend that you guys draw as well. Just this one right there, okay, along this trend line, because that's very, very, very possible as well. So now let's say that you guys are waiting. You're waiting for a break to go up, It doesn't break here, it doesn't fail, or it doesn't get a higher high, okay? So it trends along this triangle that we see thus far, all right? Trends along it, and then it actually doesn't even break upwards, right? So instead it breaks down and you don't short the market. So two things happen. One, it did not go out here, or a lot of things happened. It didn't break out here, it didn't break down here, and it ranges in this pattern right there. And it didn't break out again, and instead it goes down. And also you don't short it. So, well, where's a pretty good trend line, right? Where's a pretty good trend line that we can draw? And it's this one right here that you guys should be drawing as well. So now what we can assume is it might hit one of these points right here. Or it might even not. It might even just go to something like that, right? It might make a different kind of trend line. So we just got to keep watching it. Definitely got to keep just watching it in general. So this does look like an ascending triangle though, guys. It honestly does look like it's trying to break out of it. So this is key. Like we have to watch right here. We have to watch right here as well. If it breaks down, great long opportunity around these ranges right over here. If it breaks up, we already got our target, guys. These are still targets no matter what. Regardless of where it corrects to now, if it doesn't get a lower low than this one, the target still stands, right? And that's for longer term. Like we're talking about February, March over here, okay? So yeah, I am still very bullish on this coin based on the consolidation. Sure, it corrected, but you guys need to understand that for every correction, it's actually very good, and it's progression that is made for the coin, right? Think of it running very fast, and then think of it slowing down where it needs to take a break, and people need to take profit, and the game changes, and it consolidates, and it corrects. So this is a very good sign, and this is a very healthy sign for VeChain as well. So I think VEN is very bullish overall. It's looking incredibly good for a consolidation pattern. It's forming a beautiful ascending triangle, which is a pattern that we really do want to look for. It's one of the more bullish patterns that we can anticipate, right? And you know what? Who knows? It might range in here. It might, for all we know, it might even just break out into here as well, right? And it might even form like kind of a channel or something like that, or a wedge up there. So just lots of different possibilities. Just make sure that we keep an eye out for this specific number, 53,800 Satoshi. If we do break out of it right now, awesome. Consolidation was really short, and we're just going to go to these targets that I mentioned earlier up there. So if you guys enjoy these videos, I'd really appreciate an upvote on Steemit. If you guys really love them, please also like, subscribe, and share to my content on social media and on Twitter. Did you guys like that? I was so professional there, right guys? I was so professional. They told me that they don't want me on TV. They told me my voice is too sexy for the radio and to put him on the internet instead. So here you guys go. If you like the content, you guys know what to do. If you guys absolutely love it, you guys are welcome to donate to Luna, my dog that howls in most videos. She's got her little cryptocurrency piggy bank, and we all know where it goes. It goes towards good tequila. So have yourselves a good one. I'm not talking about for me. Like, we're talking about for her. Just to be clear, okay? She's got a fake ID. You guys should see it. She totally looks like a dog in it. See you guys later.